All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, fellow Pandemonium travelers, this is Seattle Pandemonium Shutdown, day 111, I believe. I might have misspoken yesterday and said the wrong number because I'm not smart. Yeah, so I think it's day 111. What that means, I don't know. It's 3 ones. I don't do numerology. Maybe that's significant. But, again, it just kind of continues. I feel like it continues to get worse. So there's a variety of sort of correlated events that have been occurring. So on the one hand, I'm being told, or it is being said, that the Chaz, the CHOP, the Seattle not at all autonomous, the Capitol Hill not in any way autonomous zone is collapsing, evaporating, and it will be brought to an end possibly next week. The police will reassert control, and whatever that looks like will happen. Again, increasingly fewer numbers of people are in attendance, I guess, is the idea. I could go and independently fact check this, but I don't really want to go over there. Maybe I'll try tomorrow to go down and I'll see if it's actually as dead as everybody says it is. Maybe I'll try to do that. You let me know if you want me to do that. Maybe I'll run a poll or something. So the things that are happening. So again, that's a little, put a pin in that. The evaporation of the Chaz, right? The CHOP or whatever the hell. The zone. Also, Parler. Now, there's a little bit of fuckery with Parler. So Parler is essentially a Twitter clone. Same basic layout. You scroll vertically and people post stuff, and there's, I think, a character limit. But you can attach images and video and links and things and blah, blah, blah. Parler is the Twitter alternative, and what it's supposed to be is a free speech platform. That's allegedly the idea, is it's a free speech platform. And oh boy, does Mount Rainier just look wonderful today. Can you see it? Can you even see it? You can. And a lot of people were flocking to Parler as of, well, the last couple days. It's something like 500,000 users were added in the last, 3 days or something, which is significant. But again, like these other alternative platforms like Minds and Gab and what's that one? Mastodon? There's a bunch of other ones that you may or may not be on or have ever even heard of, really. And the issue is that you have to have users, but you don't just have to have users that subscribe. You have to have an active user base who interact with each other. You have to have the engagement. But it is significant that large Twitter accounts that are very active. Carpe Dunctum is one of these guys that makes memes and meme videos and stuff that are, basically pro-Trump propaganda. I mean, the pro-MAGA propaganda. It doesn't mean they're not entertaining. It just is propaganda. I engage in propaganda making myself, so I know what it is. But he's very entertaining. Has a large following, and he was perma-banned, allegedly, I guess, from Twitter. So he's going to take his influence and go over to Parler and go hang out on Parler, I guess, and continue to push a sort of cultural narrative on a different platform. And again, this is why these things are kind of tied together. The rise of Parler is a backlash to Twitter's basically left-wing bias, and I know that it's you can get into the nitty-gritty, and it may be a little more complicated than just having a left-wing bias, but there is an ideological slant to what their policies are. Now, you can say that that's on purpose or that's on accident. I don't know. I think that in some sense, it is often on purpose. I do think that they want to wield the power of their social media platform to get real-world outcomes that they want. Meaning they, like people who work there, who know what they're doing. They know that they're doing this. They want to influence the world. So they are willing to author their policies in such a way that they believe will end in their outcome that they want. It's something like that, right? it's not exactly nefarious. I mean, everybody's kind of biased. They do these things anyway. Like, yeah, I want the world to become the way I want it to, you know? So I will nudge my platform or my, you know, my whatever, my tools. I will nudge them one direction to hopefully get an outcome that I want. But, so yeah, this is the cultural clash, though, right? This is the whole point of the whole thing, is that we're having this schizophrenic cultural, you know, fever dream where the libs are evil and trying to destroy America, and the conservatives are vile racists that are gonna put black people back in chains or whatever the hell nutty shit like Joe Biden said once. Like, we're gonna bring slavery back. So the conservatives or the Republicans are gonna bring back slavery and they hate women and it's gonna be the Handmaid's Tale. Or the libs are gonna turn America into a socialist Venezuelan-style hellhole. I don't. These are the extremes of the opposition to each other, right? And so then it's no wonder why we're not getting along and we're not seeing eye to eye. If you think that there's some kind of deep conspiracy on the other side to wildly subvert America and turn it into something awful, well then yeah, they are your enemy, right? If you're right, then they are, you know, quote unquote evil. So again, articulating both sides to each other I think ends in nothing, but because no one wants to actually change their mind or anything like that. But I'm just observing. I'm not expecting you to change your mind. I don't know if you can change my mind about what's going on, but that's just kind of what I see. So this then again goes into the online spaces, right? So, and now here's another little, you know, piece of current events. It's the what's his name? Bubba Halsey. What's his name? The NASCAR driver. So he's one of the very few black NASCAR drivers, and the pole rope for his garage at the Talladega Speedway or whatever was tied in a noose. At least that's the argument, right? So there's like a gate, a roll-up door, and there's a rope on it so you can pull it down when you want to close it. And at the end is a loop so you can grab hold of the loop. But in this specific instance, the rope was tied to in a noose knot. Now, people are saying this is a Jussie Smollett thing. You remember Jussie? Remember Jussie faking a hate crime? MAGA country. And I don't think he was ever actually punished for that, really. I mean, he lost his gigs and, you know, everyone's going to think he's an asshole forever. But he wasn't legally punished for, like, falsifying a crime report or anything like that, as far as I know. Anyways, if you go into the online spaces, you go into social media, you go on Twitter, you will find people saying, oh, this is fake, this is not a real hate crime. The noose was there since last year. Okay. That doesn't necessarily make it okay, but it wasn't targeted at him. Oh, but he was assigned that garage and they knew that there was a noose there. That's the argument that you're hearing from, like, leftists, liberals, progressives, is that this is racism, this is a hate crime, they did it on purpose, and it is a noose, and it's not just a loop to tie down, to pull down the garage door. It is a hate crime against this black man in NASCAR because NASCAR is racist. Okay, I mean, they let the black guy into the league or whatever to begin with, but okay, fine. So this is that fragmenting of our culture and our consciousness, our mindset. Like, you have people constantly looking for racism, sometimes finding it, by the way. There was just a case today. Some cops were caught on tape saying all kinds of awful things about exterminating the ends and all that kind of thing. I haven't listened to the tape actually, but I saw the headline and sort of description, and I'm gonna review it later. It's not looking good. But anyways, that's not the same thing as there's a knot tied in a rope that pulls down a garage door. All right? I mean, that's not the same thing at all. And, you know, you got people tearing down statues and stuff, right? So, I forget the guy's name. What was it? Hans Christian Zweller or something like that. They tore this guy's statue down and threw it in a lake. And what he was he was a Norwegian immigrant who came here in the 1850s and started an anti-slave patrol militia. So he formed a militia to, like, help protect runaway slaves. And then he fought for the Union. And these protesters tore this guy's statue down and threw it in a lake. So, again, the fragmentation of our cultural consciousness, our cultural narrative is just completely falling apart, where people are just behaving insanely irrationally. And then, again, of course, making excuses for, quote-unquote, their side. Their side is always okay. They never make any mistakes. They never cancel anybody for shitty reasons. They never get hysterical about nothing and then, like, you know, and never have to apologize. That happens all the time. Now, both sides do this. I want to say both sides because there's two prevailing general narratives that are competing, but each narrative is actually kind of a galaxy of other smaller narratives, and you may or may not know about any one specific one, and you may or may not even be interested in a specific one, and you may or may not even agree with certain specific ones in that constellation of different issues that align you to one political spectrum, part of the spectrum or another. But the fragmentation of what we're doing, right? Like, what is the, like, there's the thought process that these, you know, statue terrors downers have, that if we tear down all these symbols of white supremacy, I guess is the idea, that will then result in better outcomes for non-white people in America. I guess. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out after we tear down all the statues of all the white people, including Lincoln. Because these, like again, to me, it seems like, again, kind of a polishing the brass on the Titanic kind of a thing. Like, it's a symbolic thing that doesn't really mean anything and isn't actually going to result in better outcomes for non-white people in our society. It doesn't strike me as being what is going to happen. Maybe I'm wrong, but the idea is this is what we want to do. Like, this is the thing we're motivated to do. Meanwhile, other people are motivated to just try to get their businesses back open and survive the pandemic, the pandemonium, and the coming Great Depression that is probably going to absolutely crush so many people. Like, again, these various cultural narratives, they can battle it out all day long. Coke versus Pepsi, you know, Republican, Democrat. Meanwhile, the national debt keeps going up. And I don't mean to just go all, you know, Rush Limbaugh or something here, but the national debt keeps going up. We keep printing more money to bail everybody out because we canceled, you know, civilization for the COVID-19. That's going to lead to something like, inflation, maybe hyperinflation. Who knows? But meanwhile, people are mad about statues of white people and tearing them down. Now, again, I'm not saying that those are irrelevant. I'm just saying that my narrative that I'm following is not one of, let's solve racism right now. I'm like, guys, the whole country might completely collapse and turn into an insane amount of heavily armed violence and starvation and predation and all of the worst parts of the Bible, okay? Like, that's what I'm frightened of. I understand black people have had a hard time in America, and we can always walk and chew gum at the same time, but guys, we gotta sort of start, you know, uncracking these eggs, I guess. I mean, we gotta figure out how to even talk to each other. This is one of the things about social media, about Parler, etc., etc., about the noose on the NASCAR garage. Who's doing what and why, and what does it mean? And you have to construct these narratives in your own mind, essentially on the fly, and if you don't do it the right way, someone's gonna hate you. Someone's gonna think you're evil if you don't do it the right way. Something like that, right? And so then there's a chilling effect. We just don't wanna, no. Stop calling me. No. God damn it. Shut up.